Okay, it's 9 o'clock, and for those of you who have made it on time, why don't we start? My name is Mark Goldberg, and I'm a volunteer with SCORE, and I want to just cover a few introductory items before we turn things over to our facilitator, Matt Stevens. We are supported by Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce and various chambers of commerce throughout the Cape and Islands, as well as Community Development Partnership located in Eastham. And we're very grateful to all these organizations for their support of our workshop and webinar program. We are a fully volunteer organization, nonprofit, and a resource partner of the U.S. Small Business Administration. SCORE's mission is very straightforward, is to foster vibrant small business communities through mentoring and education. We've been in existence since 1964 through an act of Congress, and we perform educational opportunities like this webinar, as well as providing mentoring for people who are in business or thinking about going into business, people who are in business and maybe in trouble, and that's normally cash management, or people who are ready to go on to their encore performance and exiting their business. Here on the Cape, we have about 50 volunteers and subject matter experts in our chapter, and who are supported by 10,000 volunteers throughout the United States in a variety of differing career experiences and expertise. We have 7 chapters of SCORE here in Massachusetts and Rhode Island that make up our SCORE district. Our mentoring is completely free and absolutely confidential. And you can reach us to get mentoring by going to our national website, clicking Request a Mentor, find a mentor tab, and put in your zip code. Or you can go to the individual chapter whose website addresses are listed here in green to locate a local chapter. A couple of procedural issues that we want to talk about is that all of you have been muted except for Matt. We ask you to enter any questions you have in the Q&A function, and I will be monitoring that, and we'll inject the questions as appropriate. You can see the tab in the middle of the screen at the bottom. Also, be aware that this webinar is being recorded, and we will send all of you a link to the recording later today or first thing in the morning. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the screen over to Matt, and Matt can introduce himself and take you on the journey of email marketing.
Thanks, Mark. As always, I appreciate it, and I appreciate it. Everyone joining us today. We're going to be talking about something a little bit heavy. So I always take a second just to make sure everyone is comfortable with the topic. But we talked a little bit about email marketing a little while back, maybe about a few months ago within one of the SCORE webinars. My name is Matt Stevens. I am an agency owner for Chatham Oaks Growth Solutions, and we focus on automation and SEO, and we do a lot of technology consulting. And with the movement into AI, the movement into more streamlined processes, small business has kind of been left in the dust by a lot of the bigger businesses. So what I'd like to do is help close the gap in any way I can. And one of the first ways to do that is through automation. The easiest one, or what I call the tip of the iceberg, is email automation, right? I'm sure most people within the chat have some type of email marketing platform, or an EPS, an email provider service, or ESP, I'm sorry, email service provider, that they use on a day-to-day. And a lot of those have a lot of functionalities that help you complete your email marketing. And one that's been being wheeled out by most of them, with some of the leaders obviously taking the reins, like MailChimp, Klaviyo, ActiveCampaign. They are increasing their investment into the automation side of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about process automation. We're going to talk about how to get the most out of your email marketing automation. And then maybe we'll discuss and even live build one in front of you, just so you can kind of get a little bit more comfortable with understanding how these automation tools work. So what are we going to talk about today? So we're going to start with what is email automation, why it's important, some various benefits to the automation itself. Then we're going to talk about picking a tool. And this is usually whenever we have store calls like this is something that draws a lot of questions because I make my own recommendations. And then a lot of people want to know if what they're using is good. Whatever you're using is great. But there's two that I typically focus on that I'm going to be utilizing today, and we'll talk about that soon. The use cases. So most popular, welcome emails. Then you have segmenting and remarketing. You have e-commerce uses, follow-ups and feedback. And then we're going to talk about how this is just the beginning of automation, right? And talk about something that is a little bit more interesting going forward on where we can take this, right? Because this is just the tip of the iceberg. So let's jump in. What is email automation? So email automation, simply put, is using automation functionality to send emails or trigger other marketing tools based on customer characteristics or actions. A little while back in our email marketing webinar, we talked about building customer personas, right? Identifying characteristics, using that information to segment those customers so that you can send out personalized emails, which increase the value. And utilizing email automation is kind of summarized in why email marketing is so effective, right? Email marketing is one of only two methods where the ball is in your court, right? With social media, SEO, traditional marketing, whatever it may be, you're relying on the customer to come to you. And if they don't come to you, or if your client doesn't come to you, or if your patient doesn't come to you, you have to consistently keep reaching back out to them, right? And there's no definitive way of reaching them consistently because you may have one opportunity and they're gone, right? Email marketing, if you have an email, SMS is the other one. If you have their phone number or their email, the ball's in your court. You can reach back out to them. But you want to find that balance, right? You don't want to just reach out to them a zillion different times in a week because that's going to scare them away. Or you don't want to drop the ball and never touch base with them ever again. You got to find that balance. And ROI for email marketing is actually one of the highest marketing methods for ROI. So every dollar spent is going to earn you about 36 to 42, depending on what you're doing. And depending on the sources, that's really why that scale of numbers is there. And 70% of businesses are responsible for managing email marketing internally. Usually it's either a solo entrepreneur or maybe you got a marketing person that's overseeing that, or maybe you hire an agency, a marketing agency. And over 80% of businesses spend over 5 hours per week on email marketing, and most spend between 5 and 20. So what I did is I wanted to play a little math game with you guys and set up on average how much time and money does this cost, right? On average, that's 12.5 hours per week for most businesses. That's 650 hours. And at Massachusetts minimum wage, that's $9,750 per year. So again, the ROI is there, but spending that much time, especially if it's your time, the business owner's time, or the manager's time, you got a lot of other things that you need to deal with. And if you're not practicing effective email marketing and you're spending that much time, you're spending $9,750 a year. If you're spending 5, at the very least 80%, right? Spend 260 hours per year, $3,900. And again, you're going to get that higher ROI, but that's a big spend up front. So you want to make sure that you're effective with how you're prepping your email marketing and your email automation. So let's talk about it. And here's the data that I got. So 20% of businesses are looking at between $500 to $999 per month, right? And then you have it's even more businesses, about 30% spending between $1,000 and $5,000 per month on email marketing. Is that worth it? Well, I'd say to a degree, yes. A lot of that is payroll. But there's certain functionality that you can just automate. So you don't have to worry about hiring someone to oversee that. The human touch is important. We're going to talk about that at the end. But for the first part of this, let's just go into what are some ways that we can use these email tools to automate certain aspects of what you're doing, right? And there's a lot of email tools. I mean, this is probably just maybe like 20% of the market here. You're gonna see like certain ones that are copied and everywhere. Like Mailchimp is everywhere. You're gonna see like Salesforce a decent amount. Sendinblue is a big one. Active Campaign's a big one. HubSpot, Constant Contact, where I used to work. Um, yeah, and SendGrid is pretty big. My favorite tool in general is this one right here, Zapier. I use that every single day. But how do you know which one is right for you, right? How do you know if your email service provider is going to provide the best upside for you going forward and for your business? Well, I would say stick to the ones that are in your price range that have the functionality that you need. So before you pick one, you got to do your research. Um, but my favorites, and I'm gonna just clear this, are these three right here: Mailchimp, Klaviyo, and ActiveCampaign. Uh, I'm going to focus on Mailchimp and Klaviyo today. Those are the two that, in my opinion, ActiveCampaign has a phenomenal automation suite, but they're expensive. I mean, you're going to be paying a decent amount up front, $39.99. Mailchimp and Klaviyo are both a little bit cheaper, and have good, great, if not better, automation suites than ActiveCampaign. Mailchimp is tough to beat, and Klaviyo has a very specific service, right? So Mailchimp has extremely comprehensive automations with drag and drop building. They simplify everything with limitless combinations. They have a large library of pre-built automations, so you don't have to build them yourself. If you know what an API is or a webhook, they have access to that, which basically means you can connect it using an API to another software that may not have an internal integration. So if you look in the internal integration library, you'll be able to see a bunch of tools that it can connect with, but you can also build your own connection. You may need someone like me and my team to do something like that, but it's going to allow you to connect it to tools that you have and that you are operating to streamline all of your processes. Lots of different marketing tools are included, such as like landing pages, social media posts, postcards, that type of thing. And it's definitely better for small businesses, like service businesses, and also businesses looking to foster some type of community, right? Like a brand image, people that are going to consistently come back. Klaviyo is a little bit different as it is really focused on the e-commerce side. It's very good at the e-commerce side. And it also has it leans into SMS a little bit more. So if you're a business that relies heavily on phone numbers, Klaviyo would probably be the best bet, as well as e-commerce companies. I definitely look at them both if you're an e-commerce company, but they're great tools. Again, it even has a simpler builder with less customization options, but it's more streamlined. Um, has a large library of those pre-built automations. It has a lot more custom metrics that you can add to your account. So Mailchimp, you can add things like merge tags, groups, fields, uh, just similar to what we talked about last time. And I know I keep throwing us back, but basically there's a lot of different ways you can segment your list within Mailchimp. Klaviyo adds a ton to that, and opens up a ton of doors to new ways to segment. It has a massive list of integrations that are internal, and yeah, it's better for e-commerce. So those are the two that I would recommend you check out. ActiveCampaign would be the third, and then after that, really go for budget. Go for budget. Make sure that you're going to be able to speed up your email marketing for something that's going to be a little more budget friendly for you. So let's talk about use cases, right? So my company, we do a decent amount of like all facets of automation. Email marketing used to be a huge one in all aspects, but right now we spend a lot of time setting up email automations. And one of the things that we do most often is what's known as the welcome email, right? A welcome flow, a welcome series, whatever you've heard before. It's a lot of that stuff is really the same, and you can get as complex or as simple as you want. I'm going to keep this as simple as possible, but welcome emails have an 86% higher open rate than other marketing emails because people expect it, right? 74% of new subscribers expect to receive a welcome email. And if you're providing some type of service or some type of product, you are doing yourself a disservice not sending some type of welcome email. Hey, thanks so much for your purchase. I wanted to let you know that this, and this. Or, hey, thanks so much for scheduling our services just to get ready for us wheeling in. Here's what you need to know about our lawn care service. Whatever it may make sense. Because who knows? You may say something on that welcome email, and they're like, oh, I didn't know they did driveway paving, or I didn't know that they had corduroy hats. I don't know, but that's really kind of how you want to introduce people into your brand because they're going to expect that from you. And then it makes email marketing more sound with what you're providing, rather than just like a random, and they'll expect it going forward, right? They get that email, that welcome email. They know you're going to send them emails. And if they opted into marketing, that's something that they want to see. Subscribers who receive welcome emails show 33% more long-term brand loyalty and engagement. And the setup time for this one, I just realized I don't think I put the setup time for the rest, but for this one, it's about 10 minutes, depending. I'd say you could even set this up in like 5 minutes. But we'll jump into that right now. I know we have a Q&A. That might be something that we want to answer here. So let me stop share. Spin that over there. Oh, sorry guys, bear with me here.
Matt, can you hear me?
Yep.
Any of them offer free or complete email automation? I'm using HubSpot, which is costing too much.
Yeah, HubSpot is one of those that is extremely expensive right out the gate. And it can feel the CRM in HubSpot is tough to beat. But if you wanted to downgrade, one of the best ones that is technically free is MailChimp to 500 contacts. If you have over 500 contacts, you can find something like MailerLite, or you're really not going to find a whole lot of free options nowadays that are going to give you quality tools. That's really the issue that I've kind of discovered. So what I would recommend, again, you want to pick on your budget because marketing costs accrue quickly. And usually it's one of those things that most businesses cut first. So you want to figure out, in your opinion, okay, how much am I willing to pay for per month? And then what is out there that is going to be best for me? And I would say that typically the cheapest are the two that I've outlined here, Klaviyo, as well as MailChimp. A few other really good ones are Sendinblue. ActiveCampaign is a little bit more expensive, but it may provide the automations that you need, and it also has a CRM. So you just want to make sure you can find that all-in-one tool for your business and save as much money as humanly possible. So I hope that answers that question. And we can go into the tools a little later. But for now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to show a few different options, right? So here is, and this is actually the segmentation one. We got to go back to the welcome email. That's easier than I thought. So here is a basic welcome series. I don't have anything loaded into my my Klaviyo account. This is my my test account, so I don't have any metrics or don't have any email templates, but I wanted to show you kind of what the flow looks like, right? And it all starts with a trigger. On no matter what automation you're using, it's going to start with this step. And usually when it's a welcome email, your trigger, you want it to be when someone is added to a newsletter, right? Because if someone is added to your email list, you want to send them a welcome email. The beautiful thing is you can customize this as much as you want. Say you want to delay it an hour. All right, so 1 hour. Perfect. So now this thing is set up as soon as someone signs up to your list, whether it be on your website or whatever, wherever it may be, they're going to wait an hour. They're going to get email number 1, and you can set this up however you want. So your email name, the subject line, the preview text, and then throw in your template. And you can even use that UTM tracking or Google Analytics tracking so that you can see who is actually clicking these emails or what they're doing on the emails. And then at the very end, based on what they do within that email, you're collecting that data within Google Analytics or wherever it makes sense. Or if you're not, you can actually just update their profile property. So Klaviyo allows you to add new properties right here, and then you can type in that property value, right? So maybe you wanted to say, like if you provided 3 call to actions on your welcome email, it's like, okay, teachers, parents, students, right? Maybe they click teachers. Well, chances are they are probably a teacher. So maybe you have a list and that new property is what type of customer that they're going to be. So that's one example on Klaviyo. Now let's go ahead and check out the MailChimp welcome here. And you guys can all see this, correct? Mark, this is good.
Yes, it's good.
Awesome. So obviously I wasn't signed in there. This is what is known as a split welcome series. This is a little bit more complex, but basically MailChimp allows you, and I will be completely honest with you guys, my favorite email automation software is MailChimp. I mean, if I haven't made that clear already, it's the easiest one to build with and it has the most options, right? And I've used it hours for years, and for a lot of hours. So when a contact signs up, and again, this is your starting point or your trigger, you want to lead it down in here, and then you have an option of, okay, yeah, I can split these contacts randomly. You have the exact same thing in Klaviyo, and in most of them. You could also do an if else, right? If they signed up for my store, right? Or if they signed up on this page, then take them down route A. If they didn't, take them down route B. So there's a lot of ways that you can branch this, and then what you can do is you can customize your emails in a few different ways, right? Template on both of them, but you can change the subject and maybe change your preview text, or maybe you change the entire body. Maybe you add specific calls to actions in one that aren't in the other. And then based on that, you can segment your list. You can choose a group, you can add a tag. So like maybe all these people that signed up for my store, I add e-commerce, right? Add, boom. And that adds that tag for them. And that's one method of what we call segmentation. That's something that is extremely important with email marketing. And this is why it gets so much ROI. That's why. Is if you develop your customer personas, you put time into your email marketing. And again, it's expensive. We talked about how much it typically costs most businesses. But a lot of that can be automated. Your segmentation right out the gate can be fully automated for you. So right out the gate, you're building these customer personas in the back end. You don't have to worry about it. So then when the time comes that you're trying to send them an email, you know how to personalize it to their tastes. And that's how you get the ROI. So let's talk about segmenting and remarketing. So relevant emails that are customized.
Before we go on, Matt,
Yeah.
got 2 questions. Does MailChimp have any interface where it can communicate with iOS?
Wasn't supposed to do that. So if iOS is what you mean with like an SMS, like with text messages and phone, yes. iOS per se, like MailChimp iOS, I know that they have the iPhone app. You're able to run automations through the MailChimp iOS app. but it's a lot easier to build on the desktop. But they do communicate. Like if you were to build like an automation on the desktop, you could see it within the mobile. So keep that in mind. But at the same time, I'd say that if you're using SMS, MailChimp is a great go-to, but I definitely lean more towards Klaviyo.
Second question, where would I segment to job title or organization? Not clear on where that would go in MailChimp.
Yeah, in MailChimp. So let's take a trip back to the past webinar. So we talked about these things that are known as custom fields, or merge tags. It's all the same thing, right? Custom fields, and merge tags. Those are all the exact same thing. And it's with every single marketing email marketing platform. They have them, right? And those are data points that construct a contact: name, email address, phone number. So when you're segmenting job title in organization, chances are if there's a broad range of job titles and organizations that you're looking at, you want to go to the fields, right? You want to go within, and I'll even show you if I could go back here within MailChimp. Hopefully it doesn't have me log in again. There we go. So you can even go right in here, right? And add a journey point right here and come down. And here's that SMS, by the way, guys, right there. You can come down and you hit update contact. And what this is going to allow you to do is please select an option and then an audience field. So you can have a new audience field right here that you can then add that person to and update it, right? So it would update the audience field, and then you would provide what it would update to. So that's where you would want to segment that. Alrighty. So next, let's jump into the remarketing. So here's the Klaviyo, and let's go ahead and exit out of that. So segmentation, right? So when someone is added to one list, list A, let's say, and they're already within list B, what we may want to do is segment those, right? So if they're in this current list, then maybe we want to say that they're tuned into both brands, right? But if they're only in one, maybe we only want to say that they're into one brand. Or at the same time, you could even use this segmentation option. You're giving them both a property update, but underneath it, you could even send, all right, if this person isn't in the newsletter, we may want to send them an email, right? And say, hey, by the way, like you're in our list A, but you should probably join the newsletter for like some more information about what we do on a monthly basis, a little bit more value. And that may convert them back over to the newsletter. But these profile property updates are how you're going to be segmenting people within Klaviyo. And there's a different method that we'll see in the e-commerce that if they viewed a product, you could even say that, oh yeah, they're interested in this particular type of product, and use that field to then refer potential products to them or recommended products in a future stage, right? So that's kind of how Klaviyo works there. And MailChimp has something a little bit different where, once again, they sign up for a journal. Maybe they already received some type of welcome email, right? Okay, let's tag them received welcome email. If they have not received welcome email. So then we can put them back into a flow so that we can get them that welcome email. But there's so many different ways, guys, that you can use this segmentation, right? You can, one thing that I've been building a lot recently is Squarespace has a hidden field within a lot of their forms, and you can use that hidden field as a way to segment people based on what page they were on last within your website, which is great because you don't need to go into Google Analytics, use that data, and then update it within the backend. You have it right there, and you can automate that sorting. So that's been really, really helpful. So one size fits all approaches don't work, right? You need to customize and segment your audience in order to send emails that are going to drive the ROI. And the personalized emails increase open rates, they increase click rates, they increase conversion rates, they increase ROI, and they decrease unsubscribers, I should say unsubscribers, and they also avoid spam reports. So there's really no downside to taking the time to segment. You just want to make sure that you set up automation so you don't have to do it personally, because it is tedious. Awesome. So no worries, Becca. I'm sorry. I keep throwing back to the last one. If you guys do want to go and check out that last email marketing webinar, you can find it on score.org. Just type it right into the Cape Cod chapter. And we were going to talk about e-commerce here. So there's a lot of different types of e-commerce emails, right? You have abandoned carts, product recommendations, remarketing, all that type of stuff that fit under the e-commerce umbrella, or product remarketing, I should say. And most email tools have integrations with major storefronts, right? MailChimp and Shopify are like this. They work together seamlessly. Klaviyo, you can plug into basically any type of e-commerce store. There's certain integrations that work really, really well, and certain integrations that don't work too well. So like, for instance, be careful with MailChimp and Squarespace right now that they're having a major issue. So when you're picking your email tool, and you are an e-commerce business, or if you have any type of products that you are selling, this is one of the most important things to identify within an email service provider before making the purchase, is if they have an integration. Because if they have an integration, it's going to save you like upwards of 12 hours per week, if not 15, just from segmenting, remarketing, engaging with past customers, keeping them top of mind, sending out promotional emails. That's another one. There's so many benefits to it. And 44.1% of abandoned cart emails are opened. Almost a third of clicks on abandoned cart emails lead to a recovered sale. They're extremely important. And 77% of people prefer to receive promotional content through emails compared to other channels. That's why typically when I'm working with clients, or when we're working with people at Score here, and me and Mark sit down with someone, I say be extremely careful with social media ads, cold phone calls, because you want to make sure that with those promotional stuff, you're not turning people off from the brand, right? A lot of people understand when they get promotional emails within their inbox. When you start calling their telephone, it's a different story. And when you start throwing stuff on social media, you see what we see on Instagram nowadays is basically every third thing in your feed is going to be an ad. That's just the way it is. So keep ads off of social media and focus on getting people on your email list first and foremost. That way you can send that promotional email.
Matt, there's a question. Does MailChimp integrate well with WordPress?
So MailChimp integrates, I would say, pretty well with WordPress. If you're talking about WooCommerce, which is WordPress's e-commerce platform, it integrates extremely well with WooCommerce. Klaviyo also integrates extremely well with WooCommerce. If you're talking about WordPress, period, what I would say, it's not the greatest, just because there's a lot of MailChimp does not have a direct tool that works as a form, right? You have to find like a plugin that does MailChimp forms in order to connect them from form to form. And that can be kind of a hassle, or you have to embed it from MailChimp, which as an SEO technician, I can tell you is for small businesses, not ideal. WordPress, it's typically fine, but you just got to be careful with your I'm not going to talk about the SEO lingo here. But WordPress probably has not as good of a integration with MailChimp as other web development platforms do. Squarespace and Wix have very good or actually Wix is kind of like WordPress now that I think of it, but Squarespace has a very good connection. Anything else, Mark?
Yeah. I have GoDaddy for my website. What's the pro and con to using that versus a third party?
Yeah, so GoDaddy emails, what I would say, it's kind of like it's one of those situations where you have to look top down, right? GoDaddy started as a domain service of where people could buy their domains. Then they built their website, and then they're attacking this concept. And we kind of debunked this in that past webinar of an all-in-one marketing platform, right? But the thing is that's great, but there's certain companies that have started as email service providers. MailChimp, Klaviyo, Constant Contact, Aweber, things like that. And you want to find a company that their main service is an email, because those are the ones that have whitelisted services. They understand how to work with Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook. GoDaddy's, I will say, probably not the one that I would choose if I were to consult with someone and tell them to get Gmail. However, if your website is on GoDaddy, I can see why you would do it, just because it's all integrated under one roof. And Wix has this exact same thing, right? Wix has Wix emails, Squarespace has Squarespace emails. But a lot of times I always refer people to the guys that know what they're doing, which are the ones that started with email. Like, you're not going to go to Constant Contact or MailChimp and design a website, right? You want to go to a CMS, some type of website builder. And that's the same reason why I would say you wouldn't want to go to a website builder for your email service provider. So that's kind of where I am. But GoDaddy offers a lot of similar tools, but their automation suite is not great. Same thing with Wix is getting better and Squarespace is getting better, but they're not great compared to these guys.
Okay.
Anything else? Yeah, let's jump forward real quick and talk about the e-commerce, and then we can answer a few more at the end. So let's do the product recommendation one here, and then I'll jump into the MailChimp one. So when someone is added to SMS subscribers, right? Say, for instance, they come to your store, you say, hey, enter this code in order to be added to our list of SMS subscribers to win this, or for 10% off on our jeans selection, or whatever it may be, right? Maybe 10% off on the for breakfast, right? Your profile property, you can update them that they're interested in a particular thing, right? Maybe their meal choice from breakfast, lunch, and dinner is breakfast. So now you know in the future that person may want to see some stuff regarding breakfast, or they are interested in jeans. Well, what jeans within your store are they interested in? But either way, you want to put them within that segment, right? So, and this also works anytime someone purchases a product, right? Say they purchase a pair of jeans. Well, chances are they like jeans, they probably like jeans. Or maybe they came in and they purchased a breakfast. Well, chances are they like breakfast. And there's a lot of places down in the Cape that have some killer breakfasts, let me tell you. But what you really want to do is you want to use that to your advantage, right? Okay, if you like our jeans, well, check out this 10% off sale on these 3 pairs. Or if you like breakfast, here's our brand new breakfast menu. Come on in for like a free coffee or whatever it may be. Those are those product recommendations. Another thing is re-engagement product recommendations that you get early on, right? You get those segmentation features. You identify certain features within a particular contact, and they're just not opening your emails. Okay, like, I just can't reach this person, and it happens. And we're going to look at some data on the next slide. That's going to be pretty insane. But sometimes people just fall off, and that's okay. But a lot of times, one of the easiest ways to bring them back is to go back to what they want, right? If you don't collect any information and you try to reach out to your contacts with a blanket statement, hey, we miss you, like, come back, they're going to unsubscribe, like, they're gone. But if you collected information over time, they like breakfast, they like jeans, they like dogs, they like fast cars, like whatever it may be, whatever is under your roof, you have something to personalize that email to. and one of those ways that you can do that is with product recommendations. Hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. We just wanted to let you know our spring collection came out, right? Maybe they love shorts and long socks, or maybe it's you're a golf company and you're offering some type of new shoe. Hey, it's almost golf season, and we know you're interested in golf. Here's our brand new shoes that we just dropped. Go ahead and try them out now. Here's 10% off. And what's going to happen? People are going to say, "Oh man, they know me. They thought of me. Cool." Rather than just saying, "Hey, by the way, like here's our new shoes." No, they're gone. So with Mailchimp, you can once again connect it to a specific store, right? So if you can even choose specific products within their cart. So there's two ways of doing this, right? Say if they have specific products within their cart, you can send them an email saying, "Hey, you have these products in your cart. You may want these two products as well." Or, "Oh man, like, you still have products in your cart. I just wanted to make sure that you get the deal that you need in order to go forward with this. Here's 20% off," right? And the beautiful thing about this with these abandoned carts is you can delay them. You can say, "All right, you know what? I want to give them like maybe a day to think about it." Or maybe you could even use what's known as a wait for trigger, which is you can even say buys any product, right? So with this, now you have, okay, they left something in their cart. So I'm going to wait until they buy a product from our store. However, I'm going to set a time limit for 1 day. So now this step is going to say, okay, we're going to hold them for 1 day. If they buy a product from our store, we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to send them an email. But if they don't, well, chances are, I'm going to go ahead and do an if else. So if they bought a product from our store, yes, we don't have to do anything. But if they didn't, what we want to do is we want to send them an abandoned cart email. Boom. And both of these things are taggable situations. You want to tag as many actions as humanly possible. What did your contact do? What did this person do? Okay, let's identify that. They purchased a product. Boom. And if you use these specific products, right? Like maybe you have like 2 products or whatever that you're trying to find. You can even say that, okay, they purchased this product. A lot of integrations with MailChimp and with Klaviyo are going to allow you to have tags or segmentation options for every single one of your products. So you're going to see what products that they purchase. It's awesome. But now you have this abandoned cart email that's going out if they do not buy that product from your store every time. And once again, 44.1% of abandoned cart emails are opened. Almost a third of clicks on abandoned cart emails lead to a recovered sale. So that's 30% of actually I'm not going to do that math. I'm not able to do that on the spot. So just to show you guys, that's one product recommendation option. That's one abandoned cart email option. And there's a lot of different ways you can customize it to your brand, right? It's just about creativity and putting your nose down, spending a little bit of time, but you build this. And I would say, depending on abandoned cart, it might take you like 10 to 20 minutes. When you build this, it's a set it and forget it. You never have to worry about it again until you change that template. Figure out, okay, maybe I don't want to use this template. Maybe I want to try this call to action. But you never have to follow up with people. It's always doing it for you. And that's what's so valuable about this, is you're saving your own time. And then finally, follow-ups, right? We just talked about follow-ups. Sending at least one follow-up will get a response rate of 27% on average. And as many as 80% of deals require at least 5 touches before closing. So you've got to look at your email outreach as an ongoing conversation. And that's what it is. You're learning new things about people. What do you do if you've operated within cold calling or cold emailing or networking or anything? What do you do when you meet people? You try to identify things that either you have in common, pain points that they're feeling, their business and what they do, what they're passionate about. All of these aspects go into email marketing too. And if you're just negating that, it's going to kill your email marketing. It's not going to work. And that's where you see all those newsletters that you wake up to every day and you're like, man, like why am I subscribed to this? Unsubscribe. But if you're giving them valuable stuff, they're gonna be like, oh, all right, you know what? let me check this. So a follow-up is a great way to do that. Just stay top of mind, especially if you're a service company. If you're a service company like some type of home services or like landscaping or like auto detailing or any type of service that requires consistent checkups, right? Or consistent tune-ups or whatever it may be. The follow-up is your best friend through email because you want to make sure that you take full advantage of this. And you can set it so that as soon as someone signs up or as soon as someone's tagged based on a specific service, it starts a clock. Okay, they just got their oil changed or they just got their lawn mowed, right? So let's set a timer for 3 weeks, every 3 weeks, and they repeat that. And I'll show you exactly how we do that. So let's say that this is just one example, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to break this down and I'm going to live build this one for you. And let's say we are a landscape company and we just signed someone to have their lawn mowed every 3 weeks, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my starting point and I'm going to go down to contact activity and I'm going to say joins audience group. And this audience group, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to throw like one of my audience groups here. They join at lawn mowing, right? So with that being said, we know that the typical service for lawn mowing happens. And again, I know this isn't accurate. If you're a landscaper in the chat here, my apologies. But what we're gonna do is we are going to go ahead and time delay for 3 weeks. So for 3 weeks, what we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to throw an email. And this email is literally not going to be like, hey, you need your lawn mowed, right? It's not that. It's going to say, hey, by the way, judging by our expert opinion, this is probably the best time for you to get your lawn mowed again. And we're happy to come out and help you. Just to stay top of mind. So someone's like, oh, you know what? You're right. Like, I completely forgot about that. Let me reach out. So that's one way of doing it. And then right here at the very end, where it says contact exits, for a lot of you, you may have a drop down that's going to send you right back up to the top. So you just repeat this. It loops. It's awesome. Or you can send them to another email. Maybe you send this email and you say, oh, by the way, we also do hardscaping. Or maybe if you're an auto detailer, you're like, okay, you need your oil changed. It's been this long. How many miles have you driven? Like enter it in here or whatever. However you want to do that, it's all about setting up this transfer and then looping it. And now you have a consistent follow-up for every single service that you need, right? The same goes for Klaviyo. And this is product recommendations. We're going to switch that to follow-up. So this one is, okay, here's my welcome series. And this is a welcome series follow-up. Welcome email is if you just send one email. Welcome series is when you send multiple emails. So if someone's added to our newsletter, we're going to send them an email right out the gate. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the community, blah, 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 whatever you want to say. Okay. Have they responded to this? Yes. Well, we may want to put a conditional split here because that would make a little bit more sense. So if they don't respond to this, and as you guys can see, this is a little bit easier to operate than the MailChimp one, just drag and dropping. But that's why I said it was easier. So say for instance, they don't read this email. Well, okay, we got to follow up. Hey, by the way, you need this information to start our program. So here's it once again. And then if they don't respond to this, you can do the same thing again. And keep doing that. And once again, it typically takes 5 touches to get to that sale. So they join your email and then you want to spread these out, right? Maybe 5 days, and then maybe the next one is a week, maybe the next one is 2 weeks, whatever it may be. So those are just some follow-up options. And I know I'm gracing over a lot of this stuff because it is a little bit more complex. But what I would recommend to all of you, if you are interested in setting up email marketing, or I'm sorry, email automation, pick a tool and go and just touch around with it. Whichever one you think is going to be the best fit for you, jump in, use the free trials that basically every single one of them offers. Go in and start building the ones that you want and try it and see if you can figure it out yourself. But it really comes down to what we talked about today, a convergence of the welcome email, e-commerce emails, the follow-ups, and the segmentations. I would say 90% of all of the automations I've built within the email marketing sphere fall under one of those four categories. Some fall under multiple. So if you go in and depending on what you're looking for, you touch around and figure out. Unfortunately, I could give you guys this slide, but these are under my account, so you wouldn't be able to see them. But that's why it's so important to just jump in there and touch around, get used to it, and then see if it's something that you're able to understand. And if not, there's a lot of knowledge resources out there, Score being one of them, that you can absolutely find a subject matter expert like myself or like any of my colleagues, and we can help you build it. So that's just the beginning of the automation world, right? You have your email automation with the 4 buckets that we talked about. But what else? What else can we do? What's the possibilities? And the possibilities are truly endless for what you're able to set up with automation. But it's really important to follow these 4 steps, right? Know your audience. If you do not build customer personas, and we talked about this in our last webinar, there's 3 things that every email that you send needs. You need to gather information. You need a primary piece of call to action that's sending them to the next space, and you're providing value. Those are the 3 most important things. And if you cannot do that, your emails are going to be bad and they are not going to convert the ROI that you want. You have to focus on those 3 things. You have to show them where to go, learn something new, and provide inherent value that's free and that's not going to bottleneck them, right? I mean, if you're immediately sending them a welcome email, it's like, hey, buy my course for $500, boom, stop them right in their tracks. Well, okay, here's a preview of the course that you may want to look over. That's a little bit better because it's valuable. If they're interested in the course, they're interested in learning what they're going to be learning about rather than just getting hit with that $500 roadblock. That's the most important thing. You have to provide value immediately. And if you do not do that, you're going to lose them. And never shy away from the human side. Automation is great. I mean, I use automation for probably 70% of my internal operations and growing. I mean, I try to automate as much as I possibly can. But with this convergence of AI and automation, we are losing the human connection that was within our outreach that we used to have, right? All these tools that are like, oh yeah, use AI to generate text, use AI to generate subject line. That's all well and good, but the thing is you have to identify with the person on the other end of that email. What are they thinking when they're seeing an AI generated photo, AI generated subject line? Can they tell? But more importantly, it all comes down to the personalization aspect. You're trying to make people think that that you're thinking of them, and truly you are. By doing these segmentation processes, you're trying to learn as much as you can about these people because they're not just email addresses, they're actual people on the other side. And yeah, of course they're going to benefit your business by making purchases, but more importantly, especially on Cape Cod as a community, you're probably going to see these people again. And your brand reputation is everything, but more importantly, having that connection and building that connection with a brand. I'm sure most of you can really identify with this. Is as soon as you build that connection, it's not going to break. I mean, I have like 4 or 5 brands that I stick with through thick and thin. And it's because they send me the stuff that I want to see, the valuable stuff. And finally, save your life, right? Time is the most important thing, but time in which you're happy is way more important than that. And we talk about this thing over at within my team called the test method, right? Your speed, your steam, and your success all fold into one thing, right? You want to get things done quick, and you want to get things done successfully, but if it kills your motivation and your passion for what you're doing, it's not worth doing it. So automate it. Get it done, have something else do it so that you can get back to what you're passionate about when you're running your business, right? And that's the most important thing. So the money will come and the time you get back, but that the time in which you are happy running your business is next to nothing. There's no better feeling. And I mean, that's coming from someone who, I mean, I've gotten a lot of that time back because I've used situations within automation. But I wanted to show you guys two other automations that we built outside of MailChimp and Klaviyo, using a tool that I mentioned earlier called Zapier, which in my opinion is the best tool on the internet, bar none. It is incredible. And what it does is it simplifies the integration aspect between two companies, right? Two software, right? We talked about WordPress and MailChimp. They don't have a great integration, but Zapier can connect them extremely easily, just like it can connect most integrations together. It has over 6,000 apps and counting. And you can basically build whatever you want. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you guys some of the possibilities.
Matt, before you go on, two
Yeah,
questions.
of
Is it
course.
possible to transfer all contact segments and previous emails from HubSpot to MailChimp?
Absolutely.
Okay. Second,
Some, oh, go ahead.
yep, that answers that one. Um, if you want to add to it, sorry.
Yeah, I was, no, you're good. I was just gonna say, a lot of it used to be a lot easier, but a lot of email marketing, since it's gotten more competitive, has taken off like quick switches away. They used to like help you move over. So I would look into HubSpot and see if they provide some type of transfer service where, or not HubSpot, I'm sorry, MailChimp transfer service where they would basically do all that for you. However, the easiest way to do it is just export it, and just make sure that you identify exactly what you want to export. But most of that stuff is going to come.
Great. Can you define human side? You mentioned that a couple of times.
Yeah, the human side, right?
Yep.
As things progress with AI, right? I mean, we've had calls for people to regulate. We've had calls for certain certain build outs in the back end to be completely shut down. And the speed in which AI is about to be developed is going to absolutely blow everyone's mind. Like this thing is going to be insane in a few years. A lot of these processes and a lot of these business channels and things that we do now are going to be gone in a few years. Um, so that in my mind is exciting, but at the same time it's a little terrifying because what you're doing is you're losing the human side of connection that makes marketing successful. Because if you're just sending out pre-made emails to random people nonstop, it's going to kill that personal connection, right? It's going to make it so that it is extremely hard for you to make that connection with the person, learn the information you need, and provide the value that is going to earn you a sale. Because at the end of the day, every single email address is a person, and that's what I was trying to get at. You can have 10,000 people on your contact list, but those are 10,000 people, not 10,000 email addresses. Um, so you want to find out individually what all of those people like, and you want to personalize your emails as much as humanly possible. Hope I answered that through there. Zapier is Zapier. And then finally, let's get this thing done real quick. I'm just going to be able to share you one. This was an automation that my team and I built that basically takes all of your emails in your off hours from 5 all the way to 9 a.m., pauses them, pulls them into an AI. And what that AI does is it sorts them in from high importance to low importance, and schedules meetings that are important for you. And that's just one example, right? That's taking Gmail, ChatGPT, as well as Zapier itself, formatting it all together. And it's basically setting up this method that's going to, I mean, you can look at this preview. It's going to save you 5.5 minutes to set up, and it saves you 1.2 hours per week. And what it does, additionally, you're always on the clock. But from 9 to 5, you're working. And from 5 to 9, you're enjoying yourself, you're sleeping, you're spending time with family. That's the important stuff. Get that back. Get that happiness back. You shouldn't be on your phone. You shouldn't be fielding those emails until the next morning. And when the next morning comes, you have your high important stuff, your medium important stuff, your low important stuff. Your events are all scheduled, and you're ready to start your day. And you're ready to prioritize. So that's just one automation. This automation is a fully automated newsletter build out every single month. And it's something that we actually use for our own newsletter. But again, the human side, right? I go in, I make sure to change certain things. A lot of that is AI generated information. And a lot of it is based on dynamic content, based on how people are segmented when they come into my list. So that's very important to me. Again, that is the focus of how I market, is focusing on the people on the